Hey, as with anything in life, you're only going to get out what you put in. One of my patron and Discord members posed this question. Everyone talks about how to prep as a dungeon master, such as the lazy dungeon master, so you want to be a game master, index card RPG, etc. But no one really talks about player investment. So let's talk about 4 things. Number 1, show up ready to play. Number 2, the table is sacred. Number 3, know your game culture. And number 4, invest in your character. Stick around for a bonus tip at the end.
Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss an upload. And join the conversation over at the Agranak Cult Discord.
Alright, number 1, show up ready to play. Just because it's a game doesn't mean it's not important. Many players think that they've done their job just by showing up. And I would argue that that's probably 60%. But there's another 40%. Being rested enough to endure a 3 to 5 hour session. Disrespecting the game master or dungeon master, as well as the other players by falling asleep during a session is kind of a jerk move. In life, we should work hard at our jobs, but we should also work hard at the things we play at. Come to the table ready to give 120%, which means you're rested enough to be able to endure what would arguably be a half a day's work, which is a long time for a game that takes place mainly in your head. Unless going to the gym before you play is able to enhance your 4 or 5 hour game session, you should probably forego it on your game night. True emergencies or sickness are the only reason to cancel, ever. Otherwise, get to the game. Invest. For me, playing a TTRPG is not just for amusement, it's for my actual mental health and well-being. So get your ass to the table every single night, otherwise you will find that your invitation has been revoked. At least at my table. Number 2, the sacred table. TTRPGs are fun and exciting and one of the most awesome forms of entertainment that I know. That being said, leave your drama at the door or in the car or on the bus ride there. Come with the mindset of getting immersed in your imagination. I have played these sorts of games for so long that when I get into the zone, it's kind of like having an out-of-body experience or having some sort of astral travel, at least in snippets. That's probably due to the Jack Daniels, Devil's Lettuce, and English toffee. But I digress. We need to learn to respect the sacred table because it's a conduit by which we expose ourselves to playing in dangerous situations, at least cerebrally and sometimes emotionally. I've seen people at my table laugh, cry, get sad, get angry, all in character. So it can be embarrassing if we need a safe environment in order to allow those emotions to come to the forefront. At my table, that doesn't ever mean that there's an X card or a safe word or anything like that. We need to have a safe environment for people to be kind of vulnerable, even in an imaginative state. The table needs to be sacred because it's a place of trust and camaraderie. Number 3, know your game culture. You need to know the difference between ROLL playing and ROLE playing. For most of us, the distinction is quite clear and some lean more towards one way or the other. ROLL players are crunching numbers and want to beat the odds. ROLE players are wanting to take on a role and act it out. I would venture to say that most gamers are somewhere in the middle of that. If there are 1 or more players at a table that are on more of the ROLL spectrum of things, I will typically, in a very short period of time, see myself out from that table. My point here isn't to do math or beat the odds. I want to get personally immersed into my character, or if I'm the dungeon master, the characters and the world that I'm playing in. The rules are just the guideline. You may need to find out what you specifically are like so that you can determine who you should be playing with. Again, most people are in the middle, so it's typically not a problem. Sometimes there are role players that are actually ROLE players in disguise, and you just need to draw it out. I had these two gamers once that were ROLL players for much of their life, until I gave them an in-game mechanic of if you actually talk in your character's voice and interact with the other players as your character, I'll give you a little reroll token that you can use on any roll. It took literally minutes for them to become ROLE players, and it changed their experience of the role-playing game. It was one of my most proudest moments of integrating a mechanic that was viable for people that were mostly numbers crunchers. And it changed their gaming life. And even to this day, they say it was for the better. I didn't have to give out these tokens for long before they just embraced this style of play and went forward like that. The last point of this is that your players may not be thespians, and that's okay. Some may be, some may not be. Not all of us need to be on the same level of ROLE playing or even ROLL playing. For me, if I want people to be immersed, I need them to roll ROLE play the game. Otherwise, I don't want to be involved in that game. But they don't have to know accents. They don't need to do the mannerisms of their character. Sometimes just talking in a higher voice or a lower voice than your normal voice is enough. You can see in their eyes if they're playing their character or not. Recognize their ability and enjoy. You don't have to be an amazing actor to be an ROLE player. Oftentimes when people see themselves in the third person of the game, like they are controlling a character in a game, they tend to be more of the ROLL dice mechanic sort of player. And those that are experiencing the game as first person are more ROLE players. Just a little side note. Number 4, invest in your character. This is really a sub-point to the last point, so we're gonna still talk about the ROLE versus ROLL player. If you see a player that has crafted a spell book for their wizard in-game, they're probably an ROLE player. If you see a player that is min-maxing their character at the beginning of the game at character creation, they're probably more of an ROLL player. Neither is right or wrong. I personally prefer the ROLE version, but that doesn't mean you're wrong if you play ROLL games. Investment can look different for different people. I definitely want to lean into my character as a quasi-real, fantastical person. Most of us are right in the middle. I happen to be in the middle, but more towards the acting side. I'm saying all this because you need to know where you land in it, especially if you're on an extreme spectrum. For the most part, you're going to be fine. If you have two players that are at the same table and are on those extreme spectrums, you're probably going to have tension in one way, shape, or form. And it may behoove you as a player to leave that table and find one that's more suitable to you. All right, I think I'm beating a dead horse here. Let's move on. Oh shit, we're at the bonus tip already. All right, well, bonus tip. Kindergarten teachings still apply. Not only in game, but in life. So the stuff we learned in kindergarten is probably some of the most important teachings that we have received in life. Share with each other, be nice with each other, and wait your turn. Let me just say, sharing snacks is a great way to foster trust within your gaming group. I know it seems like a little thing, but it's the little things that matter. It may just be the most important doorway to having an amazing game. Closed off and unsharing people will create an environment of being closed off and unsharing within the game. Don't do that. You're better than that. You're here to create the best experience possible, right? Start with sharing. Also, make sure you're not talking over everyone at every moment. You're not the star. The table is the star of the show. Share the air. Gotta switch to a new pipe here. Root for your fellow players. Even if your character is diametrically opposed to another character. Like if one person is playing a chaotic evil character and the other is playing a lawful good character. It's actually quite easy to do and you don't need to be a jerk about it. Root for one another. You as a player should be on each other's side. Don't ever undermine another player just for the sake of undermining them. Just because that's what my character would do. Don't be a jerk. This creates an environment of distrust, and we want to avoid that at all costs. It can yank you out of the fiction and really ruin a game session, if not an entire campaign. The last thing you want to do is sit down at a table with a bunch of a-holes. Remember, it's a sacred table. Treat it as such. What did I miss? Leave it in the comments. What did I get wrong? I'm sure you'll let me know. All right, everyone. Thanks for stopping by Agranak Studios today, and we'll see you on the next one. Later. This video was brought to you by the generous support of our patrons. Consider becoming a patron so you can help us make more content like this. Or get yourself a t-shirt below. Later.
All right, do this and do that and do this and do that. And watch this video.